Hey, Shawn, we're celebrating Black History Month, so we're honoring Muhammad Ali every single day. So a lot of fighters give themselves names and monikers. Even Floyd called himself the TBE. But when it comes to Muhammad Ali, the greatest stuck with him. How did he earn that title?
Because he said it. He said it and said it and said it, and he lived it and lived it and lived it. I think that a lot of people in this world, not just boxers, but you can say things, but it's one thing to say it, but when you actually live it out and people are able to see it time and time again, that's how it stuck. He was always telling everyone that he was the greatest, and then he was going out there and performing as such, and then he took it a step further, which not too many professional athletes are willing to do or capable of doing. He traveled the world and showed the world how great he was too. That's why he's the greatest of all time, and it'll never change.
Shawn, do you remember, I guess, your first memory, whether it was your father showing you a tape, whether you were watching TV, your first memory of actually witnessing Muhammad Ali?
My greatest memory of witnessing Muhammad Ali, I'll never forget it. I'm at the MGM. I'm pretty sure it was a Mayweather fight, and Muhammad Ali showed up at the fight. I'll never forget it, man. He walks in, and people just start standing up and clapping. Then the audience realizes why everybody's standing up and clapping, and everyone stands up and claps for Muhammad Ali as he walks in. And you know how sometimes you give somebody a standing ovation, you're like, good enough, right? All right, sit down. No, clapped him to his seat, clapped until he sat down. It was one of the. It's something that I'll never forget. Wow. And it's something that I never thought about this till right now, but there's only been one other guy I've seen them do it, and it wasn't the exact same. Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's the only other person I've seen come to a fight and everyone in the stadium stand up and clap. Everyone. There's a difference. Evander Holyfield has shown up and people get up and clap. Not everyone. When Muhammad Ali walked into the room and everyone knew who was walking in the room, everyone stood up and clapped until he sat down. And to me, that's greatness. And when I saw that, I was like, wow. And the other part of that too is you guys know how it is when you're at fights. Everyone wants a piece of you. Everyone wants a picture. Everyone wants an autograph. Can't wait in between fights so I can go over there and say hello. For the remainder of the time that Muhammad Ali was there, nobody dared mess with him. Nobody tapped his shoulder. Nobody, people from a distance were trying to take pictures and stuff, but nobody tried to get a picture with him or anything like that at all. It was just, you understood exactly who Muhammad Ali was in that moment. And that to me was more beautiful than watching him fight in the fights that I've seen of his.
Wow, that's great. I'm glad everybody showed the respect that they should for a great legend like that. Now, through the course of boxing, there's been a lot of great fighters, and even some of them we say there'll never be another Roy Jones or somebody that's tremendous like that. But do you think there'll ever be another Muhammad Ali, especially since he's done so much great work outside of boxing socially?
No, no, not outside the ring. We also have to remember that boxing was in a different place back then. I think boxing was one of the more one of the
most popular sport.
Excuse me. Yes, it was the most popular sport back then. It wasn't, now you got NBA, NFL, so on and so forth. All of those things overshadow what we do now as athletes. But back in his day, he was the athlete of the world, and so he was able to go everywhere and do everything that he did and get that honor and that respect and so on and so forth. It's so hard for us to get there now, so I mean that alone keeps us at bay. But also remember that he did that as he boxed out, and then he grew through the ranks, and then he became a professional and became everything that he was. Not too many fighters out there can do that. You don't have a lot of heavyweight fighters out there who grew up in the sport and did it and graduated and did Olympics, won the Olympic Games, and went on to do everything. I don't think we'll see that again. The one who sticks out in my mind is Tyson Fury. He did it as a child and he's become great as a professional, but there aren't too many guys who can do it, and I think that that's something that Muhammad Ali was able to accomplish.
We're talking to Shawn Porter, folks, for those just joining us. We got to talk about two guys that you shared the ring with, and that's Ugas and Spence. I know you see what's going on social media. He has been elevated to a champion, super champion. So now he has something that Errol Spence wants. How does that fight play out? Give me your opinion on it.
Man, look, first of all, let me say this. I did not think that Ugas could become a champion at welterweight. Top guys who had the belts. I didn't think he had what it took to beat any of those guys. And I'm not trying to disrespect them and say that he's been rewarded a belt or anything like that. I'm happy to see him become a world champion. I understand who Ugas is, and I respect him as a person. When I beat him, I looked at who else he could fight to become a world champion. I said, man, if he's able to get down to 140, he'll become a world champion and live out his dreams of being a Cuban world champion. But if he stays at 147, I don't think he could ever do it. So I'm happy.
So in other words, you are saying that he's been rewarded at welterweight because you don't think he could earn that. Awarded.
He didn't.
Yeah, awarded.
Well,
so you still feel the same way. You're just saying it in a nice way. Yeah.
What I'm saying is, no. Well, let me say this. Because they put Manny Pacquiao in recess, which elevates Ugas to a champion. Now you're a world champion because we've made you a world champion. Who are you gonna fight to say I'm a world champion? If it's gonna be Errol Spence Jr., I don't see him beating Errol Spence Jr. I think he's gonna be right there in the line of fire. He does not have any movement, no left or right. He's gonna get hit with everything that Errol Spence has, and then he's gonna lose the belt. So I think that he is a world champion now, but he's got to fight somebody that he can beat. And I don't know what top guy at welterweight he can beat to say, hey, you guys rewarded me a champion, but now I solidified it by beating such and such. I don't know who such and such could beat.
Right. So you gave your prediction already on Spence versus Ugas. You say that Spence would win, but is that fight, because they might wind up fighting to unify, is that fight a pay-per-view worthy fight?
Errol Spence Jr. is pay-per-view worthy. I think that he commands the audience now. I think even though he's getting in the ring with someone who does not have the type of reputation that he has, the stardom that he has, I think that Errol Spence Jr. he alone is a pay-per-view fighter. So I think that it could be a pay-per-view. I would prefer to see it on mainstream Fox, the primetime Fox. I think that is definitely primetime Fox worthy. I think that it will be better if it is on primetime Fox. You get more eyes on the fight and more eyes on Errol Spence Jr. and Ugas.
That's true. Shawn, what's the most important fight for you? And I know Pacquiao is one of those guys that it's a big lucrative fight for any fighter that he fights. I'm not talking about money, or I'm talking about legacy. What means more to you? What fight that has to happen in order for you to be satisfied with your legacy?
I think I know that it's Terence Crawford. It's just something about him, and it's something about that fight. I think the fight's great. It's no secret that that's a great fight for me, but a great fight for the world. But I think for me specifically, I think I already fought Errol Spence Jr., and I think that everybody still feels like he's the best welterweight out there in the world. And I think that in my attempt to beat him, I think that everybody could see that if you think that he's still the number one welterweight in the world, Shawn Porter's like not even a half step behind him. Shawn Porter is running running the same pace. And I think that now it's become Terence Crawford. I think if there's the big argument, who's better, Terence Crawford or Errol Spence Jr. So that's why for me now it's like, all right, you've been in the ring with Errol Spence Jr., go get Terence Crawford. So that's why that's the most important fight. It's funny that you said that about Manny Pacquiao. He's actually, I know it's lucrative and everything, but it's actually, I would have said it's not Manny Pacquiao. It actually, for me, the most important fight is Terence Crawford.
And that's crazy that you said that, because it's like you fought Spence, you gave him a tough fight. Some people thought you won, and then all of a sudden you hear Terence Crawford fighting Spence. You're like, well, look what I just did, So last question: what do you mentioned Manny Pacquiao? Do you think that Ryan Garcia is in over his head with this possible fight that might happen?
I did hear that it was an exhibition. I think that
no, it's not an exhibition. No,
it's not an exhibition. I heard
Ryan
that
said
the other
it's not
day.
going to be an exhibition.
Well, then fine. Then I'm going to just answer the question. Yes, he is in way over his head. I think if anything, I could see Manny Pacquiao carrying him and keeping him alive. I don't think that it's just he's not ready for that fight with Manny Pacquiao. I'll leave it at that.
Listen, before you get out of here, Shawn, really quick, I mean, is there a possibility that, you know, the fight with you and Terence Crawford, I know there was a lot going on with you and Bob Arum. His offer was disrespectful to you. Has that changed at all, or have you given up on that fight, or is there still room for it to happen?
I've not given up on that fight. I think even since I did that we talked about that on my podcast, I've had a conversation with my dad, like, hey, go get that fight. You know, that's the fight for me, you know. So my dad's working.
All right. Well, good luck, man. Thanks for joining us, Shawn. It's a pleasure as always, man. Shawn Porter, folks.
Appreciate you too, man. Take care, brother.